Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for this applause at the very beginning. So I'm happy to be here, and it's a matter of fact that the Internet of Things is one of the hottest topics today, and I'm pretty sure that it will remain the same also in the next coming years. And that's why I would like to take you with me onto a journey through the Internet of Things while demonstrating which business value the Internet of Things can deliver in general and which one it has delivered also in some special project that my company Fujitsu has done. And I want to start this journey in the physical world. And this is the world we live in and the world we know, and we think we know much about this physical world, but we also have to admit there is probably much, much more that we don't know about the physical world. And the impact of this ignorance is sometimes a bit negative, because decisions that we want to take, they are often taken too late, they are very often suboptimal, we are wasting resources, this also causes environmental burden, then processes are long-lasting, individuals and employees, they may be dissatisfied, and our quality of life also may suffer from this. And at the end of the day, this causes cost. Which normally would not be necessary. And the exciting question is now how to meet these challenges on the business side and on the social side. But before answering this question, I want to have a look at a second world, apart from the physical world, and this is the digital world, which is represented by the Internet. And you know, long time ago, the Internet came into being, and since then, we have gone through a couple of phases with the Internet. There was, first of all, the Internet of content, followed by the Internet of services, with e-commerce and e-business and all that stuff, again followed by the Internet of people with all the social media stuff. But nevertheless, we have to admit that during all these phases, the digital world and the physical world had always been separated. But now we have entered a fourth phase, and this is the Internet of Things. And this is really a disruption. And the disruptive thing with the Internet of Things is, you know, that it bridges both worlds. It bridges the digital world and the physical world. It maps the physical world one by one into the digital world, and is therefore a huge potential for services that meets the challenges we were talking about. And the idea behind the Internet of Things is, you know, you sense the physical world, you collect the sense data, you analyze this data in order to get insight into things, and based on this insight, you know, you hopefully take the right decisions and initiate the respective actions. And once again, the disruptive thing with the Internet of Things is that we are able to do things that were impossible before, and I would say sometimes even unimaginable. And you know, this offers a great opportunity for new services, for new business models. People speak of digital business, digital transformation, a digital world. I think the IoT is really a key driver for all of this. And it turns all the challenges that we were starting with into benefits, as you can see here, meaning decisions can be taken better and faster. We are optimizing processes. We increase the productivity and also the efficiency. We utilize our resources much better. Means we can protect the environment much better. We decrease or we increase the security and safety, also reducing risks and costs. And of course, this has a positive impact on the quality of all our lives and the satisfaction of individuals, and also organizations. And the Internet of Things is basically seen as the new industrial revolution following the steam engines, the mass production, the internet technology in general. And if we believe analysts' predictions, they say this is the trend with the greatest impact on organizations over the next couple of years. And especially in combination with big data, the Internet of Things opens up a huge potential for growth everywhere in the world. And now, please give me a minute to dig a little bit deeper into the basics, just to be sure that we have all the same understanding of what we are talking about. What is a thing? You know, a thing can be basically anything. It is a physical object which is equipped by one or multiple sensors, one or multiple actuators. The sensors, they generate and forward the data. The actuators are able to execute commands. Things are internet enabled, they have a unique identification means, they are individually addressable, and they can be linked to the internet either through wireless or through wired network. They can be connected directly or indirectly, and we also differ between stationary things that have a fixed location and mobile things that are moving around. And here you see only a couple of examples of what a thing can be and where we can find things. And believe me, this is a very, very small subset only. We can find things in our homes or in buildings, be it the domestic white goods such as the washing machines, the refrigerators, whatever other kind of appliances or entertainment devices. It's about heating, about ventilation, about aircon and all that stuff. It's about our doors at home. It's about windows or window shades. They all can be thing equipped or sensor and actuator equipped. It can be elevators or the smart meters, which are so important for the smart grids, which were mentioned in the previous session, the smart grids which are built by utilities these days. But things can also be personal items. For instance, our car, our personal car, connected car is here the buzzword. And as we have the expert here, I'm pretty sure you will hear more about this in one of the breakout sessions later today. Or it's about industrial items like batteries, like sensors in general in the production plant, or any part, any component, any asset in the logistics industry. It's about packages or containers to track them much better. And if you consider retail, the vending machines is only one of many examples. And things can also be established outdoors. For instance, on lampposts, on traffic lights, traffic cameras, parking meters. There can be sensors on the road that are able to measure whether the road is slippery in order to warn the drivers. Just an example. Or things can be in animals, be it your family pet, or be it the cattle or other animals in the field. And not to forget human beings, not to forget people like all of us. We can have sensors on our skin, under the skin, in our sport shoes. We can wear wearables, for instance, medical sensors, and there are even ingestible devices which are called the smart pills that we can eat. And these smart pills are then able to figure out conditions or secrets from our body. So what I want to bring across is things can be basically embedded anywhere. And which data we can collect from these things, this is only a very, very short subset. If we considered, for instance, the sensing of human beings, the list of data that can be collected from us, from human beings, is by far much longer than what you see here on this slide. Maybe some of you are wondering, why are we talking about IoT these days? Why is now the right time to discuss IoT? The answer is there are a couple of very important parameters that drive IoT. More and more devices are connected. You know, sensor technologies are getting more and more commoditized. There is connectivity built into more and more devices, be it Wi-Fi, be it cellular, wireless technologies. Then the cost of connectivity is also permanently decreasing. And this makes services that require connectivity really affordable for everyone. And then there is the fact that networks are getting more and more mature. And this means, first of all, mobile coverage is increasing. On the other hand, on the broadband side, bandwidths are increasing. And not to forget the Internet Protocol version 6. Since it's out there in the market, we do not have any longer these addressing limitations that we had in former times. So nowadays, we are able to address billions of devices. And not to forget, of course, measures for energy efficiency. You know, there are technologies out there that are improving the battery technologies. On the other hand, there are technologies out there lowering energy consumptions. And there are technology concepts in place, such as energy harvesting, where solar recharging is just one example. So what I want to say is here that with all these parameters, with all these facts, we are able to overcome the hurdles that we were faced with in the past. And that's why I am not surprised that such figures will be really true in the future. And in Andy's speech, you saw the first figure already. He said that by the year 2020, we expect over 50 billion things out there. Another remarkable thing is that the cost per IoT capability will gradually decrease, and it is expected that the additional cost for this capability will be only $1 in the year 2020. Another phenomenon is that in the year 2020, people expect 7 devices to be used by an individual. And we should not forget that all these devices that we are talking about here, they will be connected to the internet, and that's why the internet will definitely be device dominated in the future. Let me have a short look at how a typical solution architecture for the Internet of Things looks like. And I want to start with the lowest layer here, which is called the edge layer or device layer, where you see all the things. Here we differ between active things and passive things. Active things are those which are constantly connected. On the other hand, we have the passive things, which are sometimes only slumbering, but they bear information, and from time to time, this information can be scanned and can be published to the network then. Then on top of that, there is the so-called gateway layer. These gateways, they are in charge of allowing a communication between the things which are all situated at one location, but these gateways, of course, also allow the communication with the internet or through the internet of Things. On top of that, of course, the internet as such. This is the network layer or internet connectivity layer where all the communication is facilitated. And again, on top of that, the so-called middleware layer with a very important core component of an IoT solution architecture, and this is the IoT platform where all this data that is coming up from the lower layers is filtered and aggregated, where the things and the gateways are managed. This platform also looks after things such as access control and, depending on the operational model, also after billing. And then the topmost layer is the so-called application layer, where we find analytics software, where we find the business logic, where data is analyzed, is processed, and hopefully the right conclusions are drawn, respective actions are initiated that might be given down or forwarded down to the lower levels. As far as the edge layer and the gateway layer is concerned, depending on the use case, this will typically be on your premises. Of course, if we are talking about public services, it will be somewhere in public areas. As far as the application layer is concerned, well, both possibilities are imaginable on-premise or in the cloud. As far as the middleware layer is concerned, we think that a cloud platform for this is really ideal, because cloud stands for reducing technological barriers, reducing skills barriers. Clouds also stands for scalability and for sharing costs among several tenants. And whenever somebody wants to adopt IoT, using the cloud here for the IoT platform means fast time to market without any doubt. And the question is now, who is involved in an IoT solution? If we consider the various layers, we have to say, on the device layer, it's the sensor suppliers, it's the device suppliers. On the gateway layer, it's the communication device suppliers. As far as the network layer is concerned, it is typically the ISPs and the carriers. If we consider the middleware layer, you might find IoT service providers there. Sometimes they are at the same time a cloud provider, sometimes they are not. And on top of that, either the customer is looking after the applications himself, or an application service provider is involved. And now I've been talking to you, I think, almost 20 minutes, and I have not mentioned the name of my company. And by the way, the name of my company is Fujitsu. Okay, and as this is probably the greatest Fujitsu event here in India, it's quite justified to let you know what the role of my company Fujitsu is. But I do not want to give any answers here. Such an event is really a great opportunity to check how the perception of our customers is with regards to our capabilities and our offerings. And that's why I would like to know from you, where do you see Fujitsu on these layers? Do you think Fujitsu is a sensor supplier or device supplier? Who thinks yes? Okay, very few people only. Who thinks we are a supplier of communication devices? Again, a very few only. Who thinks we have the internet and, let's say, the global networks under control? Nobody? Okay. You don't trust so much in Fujitsu, this is my conclusion. And who thinks we are a cloud provider? Okay, good, cloud provider. And who thinks we are an IoT platform or IoT service provider? Okay, also many of you, thank you. And who thinks we are an application service provider? Okay, yeah, it's really good to know what you think about us. And now I want to give you the answer. Each of you who has shown hands was right. So, because my company Fujitsu is present on all the layers that we have been discussing. So on the device layer, actually, we provide sensor-equipped devices, including including RFID tags. We provide wearables which are combined under the new brand Ubiquitous Wear. We provide RFID scanners. We are present on the gateway layer with our so-called M2M gateways, which have a very long tradition and very long history and have proven in numerous machine-to-machine communication projects. But over the years, these M2M gateways have been constantly developed further. Meanwhile, they are supplied by pretty much intelligent software, which makes them intelligent just to forward those data through the internet, which really makes sense not to load the internet too much. And as far as the network layer is concerned, we provide our Fujitsu Global Network services based on the Fujitsu Global WAN. So this is also very important to understand, and probably, as far as I remember, not so much known here among you. And of course, you said it, we are a public cloud provider based or hosted in this Fujitsu public cloud. There is our Fujitsu IoT platform, which also has got its origin in the machine-to-machine communication era, but has been developed further constantly. And on top of that, actually, we are able to deliver analytics software. We are able to help customers in the area of application services. We make an application development environment available in our cloud with predefined IoT models, which can be easily adapted to customer-specific requirements. And there is a special action going on that we allow customers to use this application development environment for free for a limited period of time. So my company Fujitsu is basically a partner for all IoT-related matters, a unique end-to-end IoT solution provider that provides also the services which are needed for that. And it's not only this one. We heard it in one of the speeches before. Whenever we are talking about IoT, we also talk about security and security risks. And believe me, with our IoT solutions, we also have this security aspect in our minds. Security is either built in or there are additional security solutions to be used in place. And as I said, in combination with big data, IoT will provide the real value, and also here we have a strong footprint, as was mentioned in one of the previous speeches. And now, after the theoretical part, I will let you know about a couple of customer examples where we have been successful in delivering value, either by empowering the people, either by transforming entire enterprises, or by improving public services. And the first example that I want to talk about comes from manufacturing. There is a Japanese company called Amada. They are a manufacturer of metalwork tooling. They were quite successful in Japan, but they wanted to expand their business outside Japan as well. But this idea of expansion was always limited by the ability to scale the post-sales support. And then they decided to introduce an IoT solution from Fujitsu that allows them to manage configuration settings from anywhere, meaning from remotely, also from Japan, no matter where the equipment is. They are able to monitor sold machinery, doing preventive or proactive maintenance, and whenever it comes to a break-fix situation, they are able to shorten the time to fix on the machines in the field. And what might be also worth knowing to you, that is studies saying that IoT will increase the revenue in the manufacturing industry over the next 3 years by over 27%. I think the next example can be handled very shortly because it was already discussed by Andy in the first keynote today. It is about a very prominent customer. It's about Airbus. They provide aircrafts, but in these aircrafts, millions of components are integrated. The life cycles are, first of all, very different, but they are very long, so sometimes the life cycles are several decades. And what Airbus wanted to achieve is a full transparency and visibility in the part supply chain from the very beginning, meaning from design and manufacturing throughout all the phases to maintenance and even to disposal. And for the tracking process, they wanted to involve everybody who was involved in the life cycle, meaning it's the part suppliers, it's the airframe manufacturers, it's the airlines that buy the aircrafts, and it's everybody who is involved in maintenance, repair, and overhaul, because they want to have the right assets, the right part in the inventory, not to have superfluous assets in the inventory that would mean waste for them. They want to be able to do a correct replacement of components very, very rapidly. And the IoT solution based on our RFID technology, on our RFID tags, helps them to achieve this. These RFID tags on each of the components bear all the historical information of manufacturing and maintenance. And this helps them really to optimize their inventory levels and shorten every kind of delivery times. Another example from transportation and logistics is an environmental management office from the United States. They were involved in dismantling the buildings from the Manhattan Project, but they are also focused on disposing nuclear waste materials from older or former reactors. And in the past, all their processes were paper-based, which meant inefficiency, it meant slow speed, and inaccuracy. They introduced as an IoT solution from Fujitsu. They tagged all the waste assets. They are able to check at each stage of the project what's happening. They are able to do a real-time tracking of all these security-sensitive trucks. And they told us that they save $8 million compared to the past. And just to get a feeling what this means for the logistics industry, analysts say that IoT presents, in terms of value of stake for the logistics industry over the next 10 years, a figure which is $1.9 trillion. And for me, it's even difficult to imagine what a trillion is. Field services, another example where we help customers. You know, whenever field services is dealing with outdoor equipment, this can be very difficult and dangerous because these guys, they are exposed to heat, they are exposed to cold temperatures, they are also exposed to dangers coming from the equipment itself. And the IoT solution that we delivered to a couple of customers is based on wrist-mounted pulse and temperature sensors. So the service center is able to monitor for signs of hyperthermia or also heart stroke. Whenever the system figures out the person starts getting tired, well, he's reminded of taking a break. And these position sensors can also detect falls of the service staff or warn the staff of dangers, maybe if they are very close to high voltage cables or something like that. As I said, this solution is used by a couple of external customers, but also by the Fujitsu network solution arm, which is called FNets. Another example comes from healthcare. A hospital in Finland, they also use high accuracy indoor positioning sensors for their hospital staff, for the patients and for the equipment in order to be able to track everything, so they always know in a case of emergency which staff is closest to the patient, which equipment they need and where to find this equipment at the closest place. They can detect falls of the patients, and you know, elderly people have the tendency to wander off-site, so also this can be monitored, can be recognized, and can be prevented. So at the end of the day, it helps improve safety and it contributes to an efficient asset management. And there is an industry segment where some of you might not have expected IoT solutions, and this is agriculture. In Japan, for instance, in multiple agricultural firms, we have implemented the so-called connected cow solution, where cows are equipped with sensors, where we are able to monitor the location of the cow, the walking behavior, the condition in general, the health, and also the weight, where we are able to recognize from the movement when is the best pairing time of the animal, where we also can detect early signs of disease, inform the farmer or the veterinarian correspondingly. And the benefit, of course, is maximizing production of calves. And what these guys are telling us, that a typical increase of cow versus bull calves proportion is 30%, which is not so bad. And just for those ones who are interested in how many data or how much data a connected cow produces, here you see it, it's about 200 megabytes per year. And maybe another example from agriculture is one that was presented already in the past, because we introduced this solution to the market also some 4 or 5 years ago. It is to establish sensors in the farmland in order to track the health of the plants, in order to analyze the soil, the weather, and other parameters which are important for the growth of the plants in the field, where we are able to predict the right level of fertilizers and to determine the optimum time to harvest all of this. And typically the customers tell us that they enjoy an increase of crop production of about 30%, which is of course not so bad either. And we heard already a couple of things about smart cities today. Also for smart cities, Fujitsu IoT solutions contribute. There is, for instance, a customer called Kaga in Japan whose business is to deliver lighting solutions for cities. These lighting solutions are based on IoT solutions from Fujitsu. The idea is to establish sensors on street lights. They form an ad hoc mesh network. The lighting intensity is adjusted to the current condition. Lights are dimmed when the streets are empty, and lights are turned up again when anything such as pedestrian come into view. And usually these solutions also include in evacuation guidance whenever there is an emergency situation, a disaster situation. The safe zones are correspondingly indicated, which means, first of all, energy savings, but also a better public safety. And as you heard from the previous speaker, smart cities is, of course, much, much more than just smart lighting. Traffic is a prominent example here. As I'm running out of time, I do not want to go through the details. Let me just have a look at the last example here, which relates to public safety. You should know that the bridges in Japan, they are not of the best shape. About 90% of the bridges, they are not inspected anymore because their service cycle expired. So these cities decided to go for an IoT solution from Fujitsu, where data is collected with regards to vibration, strain, corrosion, where photos are taken by cameras. All this collected data will be combined with administrative data, and so insight can be gained when to initiate inspection, maintenance, repair, or strengthening activities, which also means safety, it means less accidents, it can mean saving lives, and of course it reduces cost. And now let me come finally to my summary. So what are the most important takeaways? So I hope I could bring across that IoT takes the internet revolution to a new level. We are no longer just talking about connectivity anywhere, anytime, for anyone. We are talking about connectivity to anything which allows us monitoring remotely of anything you can imagine. And this is a sound foundation for human-centric innovation and human-centric innovation in action, which is the motto of this event here. It provides new opportunities for new services that generate new values for the business and the society. And I am pretty sure that IoT will be ubiquitous in the future. So I just can encourage everybody to get ready in good time. And as far as my company Fujitsu is concerned, we provide the technology, the tools, the know-how, the services. So if anybody is striving for business value from IoT, I can just recommend have a word with my company, Fujitsu, because we are shaping tomorrow with you. Thank you very much.